Hi there, welcome to Grain TV. I'm Kevin McNew. It's Monday, November 7th, one day away from the election and 2 days away from the crop report. Let's take a look at Grain Edge's trading platform and see where we closed. In Chicago, corn closing off off 2.25 to 346.5. Beans holding a nice gain, 8.25 higher, almost to the $10 mark. And wheat in Chicago losing 3.5, although as much as 7 lower at one point, managing to close on a strong note heading into the final minutes of trading. Let's take a look at some of the news that was out today. First of all, let's start with over the weekend, there was more rain in Argentina and more expected in the coming few days. So some of that area there that's getting into the planting season or into the wheat harvesting season is seeing much added moisture and more flooding potential. So overall, Argentina is still sort of in a situation that's not particularly good for their growing situation. Meanwhile, in Brazil, they're having a really good start to their planting season for beans. Right now, they're around 52% cut. 52% planted versus 48% planted normally at this time of year. So all indicators are that Brazil is off to a very good start. Let's talk about USDA's flash sales this morning. We had a round of flash sales from USDA. First of all, corn at 172,000 metric tons. In addition, we had 132,000 metric tons of beans to China, and on top of that, 135,000 metric tons of soy meal to the Philippines. Those were nice sales to get the market going today, but we saw little trade direction out of the open here in the morning session. Mostly in the case of soybeans, we got to the higher mark in the Sunday night session and held in a fairly narrow 5-cent range throughout much of the trade. Other news out over the weekend, Russia continues to see very good growing conditions going into their winter dormancy for their winter grain crop. Planted area there is up 8%, and with the conditions much better than they were last year, people are expecting Russia to have another record crop on top of last year's massive crop. So that overall was what was sort of pressuring the wheat market today without any sort of real direction and ahead of the crop report on Wednesday. Let's take a look at Monday's export inspections that were given to us by USDA. These numbers were mostly in line with analyst expectations. Corn coming in just below analyst expectations at 900,000 metric tons at the low end, and beans coming in at a solid 2.6, right in the middle of analyst expectations, while wheat coming in at the high end of analyst expectations. So overall, no real direction there for wheat. We know we continue to export a lot of beans, over 2 million metric tons a week consistently here for the last month. And so, the market has really sort of factored that in. What they're waiting on is really to see what the results of Wednesday's crop report are. We will talk about specific numbers tomorrow, but overall, the general perception is soybean yields will be higher. Right now, the expectation is about a 0.6 of an acre boost in soybean yield, but they expect USDA to increase exports for the annual projection. So overall, it's just a slight expectation of growing stocks. So overall, it'll be interesting to see what happens after Wednesday's report. Will this be a buying opportunity? It sort of feels like this market's ready to move higher, although we've had no real direction one way or the other. But after last week's big sell-off, we've seemed to found stability at the end of the last week and starting into this week, and there might be the potential to move higher as we get into the later part of November. Let's take a look at the action in January beans here. Like I said, we came into Sunday's session with a fairly mild open, no real reaction on the open, but we did trade higher for the first hour or so and managed to hold those gains pretty much all session long. We traded in a fairly narrow 5-cent range, and I think what's supportive about this is that we closed above the 995, what had been acting as overhead resistance. We talked about that last week, 995 at the upside on the resistance and 983 on the downside. So we're now above that 995 and look for that as underlying support as we move forward into tomorrow's election results as well as Wednesday's crop report. That's all we've got for today on Grain TV. As always, if you'd like to learn more about how we can help you in your own grain trading situation, visit us online at grainhedge.com and take a demo of our trading platform. As a Grain Edge trading client, you'll get our technical alerts email first thing every trading day. Technical Alerts is a powerful system that generates quality trading opportunities. Each trading opportunity shows a chart and analysis providing clear price targets and risk potential. Technical Alerts look at historical chart formations and compare the current environment to the past to form concrete trading recommendations. The commodities covered by Technical Alerts includes grains, livestock, crude oil, currencies, bonds, and metals. Start your trading day with the most powerful insight into market direction and improve your trading today. Sign up at grainhedge.com to become a client.